Okay, so I am B.B. Speed, and I was co-editor with John Carpenter of the Journal of Family Therapy. We took over from Brian Lask, and I had been a member of the editorial board from when I joined the Family Institute in 1979 in Cardiff.
The editor can shape, the editor can choose, the editor can exert influence in a way that you have to satisfy the different interests and the different stakeholders, and you always have to have an eye on the impact factor. You always have to have an eye on, is this journal something that other people are going to want to read?
How much does an editor of a systemic journal think systemically about the job?
But I wanted to hold the evidence base in mind and continue the tradition that Ivan had started, but I also wanted to make sure that the journal represented the many different creative areas that family therapy was involved in.
There was a bigger range of papers maybe in those days, and there was certainly a lot more on actual technique, because this was in the relatively early days of family therapy, and I sit down at 8 o'clock at night with this paper and go through it with my markers and all old-fashioned ways of doing it.
During Ivan's time, there were a number of major changes that happened within the journal. The first one was it became an electronic submissions journal, and that was a really huge change from the old days of people submitting papers by hand.
As much as I love to see our issues in print, and I'm sure authors and readers, love to see that too, I think in the future it probably will be purely digital. I definitely am trying to promote family therapy to a wider audience, and for example, the issue last November on information communication technologies, friend or foe, has had a very good, what Wiley calls altmetric rating, which is really that it has had quite a lot of media presence, and I think that's been read by not just by family therapists, but this is kind of crossing over of networks that I've attempted to do with that particular issue. I guess it's both and for me. I do believe that we should also retain the high quality of family therapy articles and more generally systemic papers, including quantitative research and RCTs and, really what family therapists and clinicians would like to read about. And I guess my challenge really is to do both, how to both sort of popularize the articles, or some articles if you like, but also to retain the high standards of the more scientific, quantitative, peer-reviewed articles.
And undoubtedly, Ivan wanted the journal to represent possibly more the research side of family therapy. He wanted to encourage people to submit research papers to the journal, but he didn't want to lose the balance between research and clinical practice. I think what I was proud of was publishing Alan Carr's summaries of the research evidence. I was proud of that. If I look back and think about the papers that were particularly important to me, the papers around couple therapy were particularly important to me, because couple therapy had been very much a sideline within the journal up to that point, and we published a number of papers demonstrating the effectiveness of couple therapy in different presentations.
Like Milan School were producing, every now and again there would be a new paper from them, and it would be about ritual prescriptions or the absent family member, or we'd all read it, great avidity, and you'd have somebody like Maturana, such a well-known, highly respected by some sectors of family therapy world, completely unintelligible. I can remember trying to edit one of his papers and sending it back to him 2 and 3 times.
Oh, hi. How lovely to see you. Did you find this place all right?
Yes.
I imagine you've been here before.
Once, but many years ago.
Today there'll be about 10 or 12 of us attending, as well as Professor Susan Lord will call in, will ring in. Sometimes people ring in as well. these are some of our associate editors, but we only have one person. So it should be quite a relaxed meeting. And I was just thinking on the way here today that this end of year meeting to me always feels like I'm getting my report card, because this is when the publishers, Wiley, announce impact factor.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, which I already know, but they also give a breakdown of the impact factor and why it's what it is. So our editorial board is drawn from scholars in the field, academics as well as academic researchers as well as practitioners. So the kinds of issues that the kinds of articles that we publish are of a very different quality to a less well-established and to a non-peer reviewed journal. So I guess that would be one important difference, and with a very high rejection rate, it also means that we really publish the best papers in the field, and that it means a lot to an author to be published in the Journal of Family Therapy nowadays.
But I think that there's been a lot more emphasis in recent times on research and research papers, and that's obviously good in the times that we're in now.
And I think it's only too easy to get sort of bamboozled by statistics, by evidence-based, and by only publishing papers that are in the realm of quantitative large RCTs. And I really think, as editor, I like to publish a selection. I love case studies. We have a really lovely one coming up in our next issue. I love qualitative research. It's very close to my heart. So I guess it's really about trying to promote lots of different kinds of papers and things that are interesting for everybody to read. Mark and I facilitated 2 writing workshops last year. They were at the Tavistock, run by Family Therapy and Systemic Research Centre there. And we had a pretty good uptake. And at least 6 papers, 6 publications, and I'm looking at some authors who were there at our workshops, and I think that they were great fun, and we are holding 2 more next year. So this is also just to encourage authors who want to build up their work towards submission. Please do come forward for the workshops.